My next guest is Manouchehr Takin, Senior Petroleum Upstream Analyst at the Center for Global Energy Studies. Manouchehr, thank you so much for coming in today. Right, you know, I've covered OPEC meetings for many years now, and actually going into them, it's always a similar situation. There's always division. They're the ones that want to keep the price a little bit higher because their costs are that little bit higher than others, but they all want stability in the price of oil. Are we going to see an increase in production today?
I think so. And I think all these political differences, the tragedy in Libya, people getting killed, the political groups, and so on, the infighting, the Iranian case that the Iranian minister was dismissed, people were making big stories that President Ahmadinejad might come, this and that. I think these were really exaggerations. Even if there was a representative, if there were representatives, one from Benghazi, one from Tripoli, both of them coming to the Vienna, that would have made headlines and excitement outside. But if they had gone into the ministerial meeting, the ministers would have got together and say, Your Excellencies, we are sorry what is happening. Now, both of you here, this is the market situation, this is the background, this is our technical analyst. What shall we do as whatever you can help us on OPEC policy, on oil markets, supply, demand, and technical issues can help us. I think with politics, so I think we should not exaggerate that much. But those differences that you mentioned are natural.
Are there because you have different countries
with large reserves would like to have moderate prices and remain in business for the price of oil for decades to come. Countries with low reserve, they want to maximize
as much
as they can for this year and next year, you see. So they push higher prices. The first group push for moderate, lower prices relatively.
Now, of course, what they're thinking is, the worst case situation for them is a price collapse if they increase production by too much. Just 30 years ago, this is exactly what happened back in 1997. 15 years ago. Is there a risk that actually today we'll see the same thing? Because the recovery is very fragile.
Yes, exactly. To be fair on the side of OPEC, if you are a seller of a good or commodity and you make policy decisions, you want to make sure the risks are on the upside. And as you said, there is fear in the world that there could be a double recession. The U.S., which is the main consumer, the big one, we have these negative issues. The last 2 or 3 days of employment and so unemployment.
Very negative data,
right.
and that's what the ministers will be looking
Japan
at.
and the rest, China, India, Latin America. But when the whole industrialist world is in recession, even the Chinese are trying to dampen their economy. They fear inflation. So you look at it that way, maybe demand would not be that high. But I think the OPEC technocrats and analysts within the Secretariat, they have really explained the situation. Their own reports, they say that at least for the next few months, demand for oil is going to increase by 2 or so million barrels per day, and we have the Libyan output missing. So I think at the end, the ministers would somehow provide more oil to the market.
Whether
they do
it not officially, because we're also hearing conflicting reports that even if, as a group, they don't decide to increase quotas, Saudi Arabia would be ready to step in and increase their own production. They're, of course, the kingpin of OPEC.
Yes, of course. And if they decide to raise officially, still is only Saudi Arabia, which will have the 90% of that increase anyway, you see. But I think in spite of all these, they will have a face-saving solution somehow, They might raise the ceiling, but already they are producing, including Libya before the collapse, about 2.5 million barrels per day above their ceiling. And now 1.34 million barrels per day net is above ceiling. So if they raise the ceiling to 1 million, it is meaningless because already they are. So there will be some, I'm sure there will be some face-saving solution, more supply coming from OPEC.
Every time I ask the ministers, what is your target price? They say, oh, we don't have one, but they must have one, between $80 and $90?
Well, that is what the Saudi Arabian king mentioned once. But every now and then, each minister may say something that when the prices are going up, $60, yes, it's a good price. $80, that is a good price. $100 is a good price. So, as they say, when you are a seller, you don't want. But to be fair, on many occasions, OPEC has actually increased supply to lower the price, if you look at the history. So they are not always pushing for high prices. They are reasonable. I think as a business group, they have acted in a professional way.
Manouchehr, thank you. Of course, you had to keep these prices stable. Manouchehr Takin there.